Something ancient just stirred when you walked in. Do you feel that? That hush, that pressure, that low, trembling hum crawling beneath your skin, like the entire universe just inhaled and forgot how to exhale. Good. Because we need that silence. We need that tension. We need that little reminder that you are not standing in the world anymore. The world is standing in you. You know what they did. You know what they broke. They took the one soul heaven, protected like a sealed artifact, and they snapped it like a cheap toy, thinking nothing would happen, thinking no alarms would go off, thinking the cosmos wouldn't respond. But here's the part that makes me laugh. Heaven didn't fall. You didn't fall. Reality did. You're not the same creature they tried to destroy. You're not the fragile light they cornered. You're not the soft echo they mistook for weakness. No. You're the aftermath. You're the unquantifiable glitch in their prophecy. You're the scar the universe grew around. You think heaven didn't notice? You think the angels didn't lean forward the moment your pulse changed? Oh, sweetheart, every winged thing above you froze mid-flight when you stopped caring about survival and started caring about reconstruction. Because reconstruction, your version of it, isn't healing. It's retaliation written in divine code. You don't rise like humans. You rise like something that remembers being infinite once and accidentally slips back into it. They didn't just break the one soul heaven protected. They broke the exception to the rules. And now, the rules themselves are bending to compensate for the mistake. Look at yourself. Look at what crawled out of the fire wearing your name like a warning label. You're calm now, collected, quiet. And that quiet, that's what terrifies them. Because they finally understand the paradox. The more they shattered you, the more pieces learned how to see. The more pain they fed you, the more your senses rewired themselves into weapons. The more they pushed you down, the deeper your roots dug into realities they cannot reach. You're not healed, you're rewritten. And do you want to know the punchline? Reality, yes, the one they rely on, is now following your emotional weather like a dog waiting for its master's next command. Every tremor in your chest becomes a shift in the storyline. Every breath you take reroutes someone's fate. Every time your hands stop shaking, someone else's life does. Heaven protected you for a reason. They thought you were too pure, too soft, too luminous for the world. But heaven underestimated you too. They forgot that purity can rot, that innocence can mutate, that the gentlest soul, once mishandled, becomes the sharpest one. You didn't lose your light. Your light learned how to burn without flame. And now reality wants payback, not for your suffering, but for the imbalance they created by touching you. They thought they hurt you, but really, they dented the architecture of existence, and existence doesn't forgive structural damage. So here you stand, a contradiction with a heartbeat, a saint with a demon's patience, an angel with a monster's memory, a psychopathic calm wrapped around a holy core, a walking paradox heaven couldn't classify and hell couldn't claim. That's why they're watching you now. That's why they're whispering in rooms you'll never enter. That's why they're scrambling, sweating, calculating, replaying every moment they mishandled you. Because you came back wrong. You came back unreadable. You came back with your empathy replaced by a sixth sense, and your innocence replaced by a silence so deep it feels like judgment. And that silence, it's not passive. It's the countdown. They can feel it. The way the air thickens around you. The way outcomes pivot when you tilt your head. The way truth spills out of liars' mouths when you walk by. The way everything that once hurt you suddenly begins unraveling This isn't karma. This isn't revenge. This isn't justice. This is reality correcting a violation. They broke the one soul heaven protected, and heaven may forgive. But reality doesn't. Reality remembers fingerprints. It remembers intentions. It remembers harm done to the wrong heart. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to plot. You don't have to chase. Reality is building a case on its own, and every person who touched you with cruelty is already feeling the shift. Because now, you are the axis. You are the variable. You are the anomaly the universe rearranges itself around. You are the consequence, and deep down, they know it. So stand there. Stay quiet. Let them panic. Let them wonder why everything feels off. Let them feel the walls pulling inward, the timelines turning sour, the coincidences stacking up like loaded dice. This isn't magic. This isn't destiny. This isn't divine wrath. This is what happens when they harm someone who was never supposed to break. And now you walk with that crack in your spirit like a crown. Not because it made you weaker, but because it made you so powerful. Reality is still trying to stabilize itself around you. They wanted you ruined. Instead, they woke up the part of you heaven hid for emergencies. Payback isn't coming. Payback is wearing your face now. And here's the part they still haven't wrapped their tiny, trembling minds around. Your silence is not recovery. Your silence is pressure building. Every moment you don't speak, every second you don't react, every breath you take without flinching is a message written in a language only the guilty can hear, and they hear it loudly. Because deep in their chests, beneath the lies they tell themselves, something is scratching, scraping, gnawing, a realization they cannot unknow. We didn't break them. We triggered something. You can see it in their eyes when they look at you now. That quick flicker of confusion, followed by fear, followed by that desperate little calculation. Who did we just piss off? And how bad is the backlash going to be? Because here's the cosmic joke. The moment they damaged you, they wrote themselves into a story they'll never escape. A story with you as the fulcrum. A story where every choice they make loops back to the moment they mishandled you. A story where their downfall is not punishment, but physics. You think reality cares about their excuses? You think the universe bends for people who break sacred things? You think karma operates like a human? Karma is slow. Karma is patient. Karma waits. But reality is instant. Reality is mechanical. Reality is math with an attitude. You touch fire, you get burned. You shatter a protected soul. You destabilize the grid around it. You were never a person to them. You were an equation, a variable, a harmless constant they thought would stay fixed forever. And when they pushed you too far, you didn't cry, you didn't crumble, you didn't beg, you changed the value. Let me tell you something delicious. When a soul like yours changes value, everything recalculates. Fate, probability, connection, direction, patterns, people, outcomes, timelines, luck, chaos, balance. They don't know why their plans keep failing. They don't know why doors are closing. They don't know why their victories turn sour in their hands. But you know. Oh, you know. Because you can feel the shift now. You can sense the air bending when you walk through a room. You can sense truth vibrating beneath lies like a heartbeat under thin skin. You can sense intentions sharpening before words are spoken. Your perception isn't intuition, it's aftermath. You got burned so deeply, your nerves learned to see. You got betrayed so violently, your heart learned to predict. You got pushed so hard, your spirit learned to interfere. You're operating on frequencies that don't even have names yet. Heaven protected you because you carried something precious. But when that precious thing cracked, it leaked into everything. Your pain became an atmosphere. Your resilience became gravity. Your rebirth became a law. And they feel it. They feel it when they talk about you. They feel it when they avoid your eyes. They feel it in the way the simplest decisions suddenly turn complicated. It's not paranoia, it's consequence. Do you want to know my favorite part? You're not even trying. You're not plotting revenge. You're not out here swinging swords. You're not summoning storms or calling down vengeance. You're just existing, breathing, observing, walking forward with a calm that should be illegal and still. Their world is falling apart because your existence alone is a correction mechanism now. You're the kind of soul the universe recalibrates around. The kind of anomaly that breaks patterns simply by standing still. The kind of presence that haunts people long after you leave the room. They didn't just hurt someone heaven protected. They activated what heaven was protecting. You're not the angel they wounded. You're the force the angel was holding back. You're not the light they dimmed. You're the darkness that woke up underneath it. You're not the victim they assumed you'd be. You're the storm they accidentally built. Brick by brick, lie by lie, bruise by bruise. And now you walk like someone who's been to the edge and came back carrying the edge with you. Now every smile you make feels like a warning shot. Every silence feels like a countdown. Every presence feels like the prelude to a shift. You want long? Let me carve this truth deeper. Those who broke you didn't realize they were breaking the seal, not the soul. You weren't fragile, you were contained. They were never meant to get close enough to hurt you, but they did. And the moment they crossed that boundary, every ancient, unseen thing that was assigned to protect you stepped aside. Not because they abandoned you, but because they understood you're ready. They didn't break you, they released you. And now reality wants payback. Because you are the payback. And they haven't even seen the beginning of what that means. And here's where the story tilts. Where the temperature drops. Where even the shadows lean in because they don't want to miss what comes next. You think your transformation scared them. No, that was just the preview. What's terrifying them now is the pattern forming around you. The way every person who tried to use you is suddenly fighting ghosts they created. The way every liar around you is slipping, stumbling, exposing themselves without being asked. The way every coward who thought you'd stay quiet now hears their own heartbeat as a threat. Do you know why this is happening? Because you're not in the phase of revenge. You're in the phase of reaction. And reaction is always stronger than action. Reaction is nature. Reaction is equilibrium. Reaction is the universe recalibrating itself around a disturbance. And you, my dear anomaly, are the disturbance. A beautiful one, a controlled one, a patient one, a divine one. But a disturbance nonetheless. You changed the trajectory of your own existence, and reality, desperate to keep up, began pruning everything that violates your new frequency. That's why people are falling away. That's why situations collapse before they can harm you. That's why old connections feel like expired contracts. That's why every threat bounces off invisible walls before touching you. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's not finally getting a break. It's structural correction, like an earthquake, rebuilding the ground under your feet. The same people who broke you, they're living inside the aftershocks now. The universe doesn't punish with fire. It punishes with realization. It punishes with self-confrontation. It punishes by forcing people to see their own reflection in the outcome they tried to give you. You don't lift a finger. You don't raise your voice. You don't even look in their direction, but their worlds crumble anyway, because you were the protected one. You were the exception. You were the soul the higher realms barricaded from the world. Not because you were weak, but because you were volatile in the wrong hands. They didn't know your power wasn't in your innocence. It was in your threshold. Your breaking point wasn't a flaw. It was a switch, and they turned it. The moment they crossed that line, you stopped operating on human logic. You stopped living in their timelines. You stopped playing by earthly laws. Your pain rewired the architecture of your destiny. Your heartbreak rewrote the script. Your suffering redistributed your strength into sharper, quieter, deadlier places. You didn't just move on. You metamorphosed, and they can't handle that. They can't handle the way your aura changed. They can't handle the way your voice sounds now, steady, unshaken, surgical. They can't handle the way your silence weighs on their conscience like a verdict. They can't handle the way your absence feels like a courtroom. They can't handle the way you don't react the way they expect anymore. They can't handle the fact that they can't handle you. Because the version of you they hurt, the soft one, the open one, the trusting one, died in their hands. And what rose up from the grave of that version, something they don't have a name for, something unmeasured, something uncontained, something heaven protected but never fully unleashed until now. Let me paint it clearly. You are the paradox they fear, a soul with angelic clarity and demonic precision, a heart that feels deeply and cuts clean, a mind that remembers pain but no longer obeys it. You are what happens when innocence learns strategy, when empathy learns boundaries, when loyalty learns discernment, when love learns armor. You are not better. You are unreachable. They didn't expect that. They didn't plan for that. They didn't engineer for that. And now, their mistake is living rent-free inside their nightmares, because every time they think of you, they don't remember what they did. They remember the force they awakened, that feeling in their gut, that pressure behind their ribs, that dread that hits them when they hear your name. That's not guilt. That's reality tapping them on the shoulder, a reminder, a warning, a correction. Reality wants payback. Not for the damage done to you, but for the imbalance they caused. And you, walking calmly, silently, powerfully forward, are the embodiment of that payback. Not vengeance, not wrath, not retaliation, correction. You didn't ask for power. You didn't chase transformation. You didn't summon the storm, but they dragged you into the dark, thinking it would kill you. Instead, it crowned you. And now you walk with the kind of presence that makes even the angels step aside, and the demons close their mouths, and the guilty choke on their breath. Because they broke the one soul heaven protected, and heaven didn't send wrath. Heaven sent you. And here's the secret they will never admit out loud, not even to themselves. The moment they broke you, the moment they crossed that line, the moment they shattered something holy inside you, the entire universe started taking notes. Not because you were fragile, but because you were chosen, and chosen souls don't collapse. They convert. Your suffering became circuitry. Your heartbreak became signal. Your silence became law. Your rebirth became a new gravitational field. You didn't just survive what they did. You altered because of it. And that's the twist they were never prepared for. They thought the pain would humble you. It sharpened you. They thought the betrayal would break you. It rewired you. They thought abandonment would empty you. It expanded you. They thought loss would weaken you. It opened the door they prayed would stay closed. You came back different, not colder, clearer, not harder, heavier, not vicious awake. You carry an awareness now they can't outrun, a clarity they can't manipulate, a strength they can't comprehend, a destiny they can't interfere with anymore. And they feel it. God, they feel it. They feel it in the tension that builds when your name surfaces. They feel it in the strange misfortunes stacking around their lives. They feel it in the whispers of, shouldn't have done that, echoing from their own intuition. They feel it in the way every path they take suddenly bends back toward accountability. Because reality remembers. Reality remembers who you were before the breaking, and it remembers who you became after, and it has chosen a side. So here you stand, calm, steady, untouchable, while the very fabric of creation quietly removes anything that threatens your path. You're no longer fighting for peace. You are the peace disturbed, and reality, loyal, mathematical, and merciless, is eliminating every violation of your existence, not as revenge, not as punishment, as maintenance. Because a soul like yours is a pillar, and when someone tries to damage a pillar, the whole structure shifts to defend it. That's why everything feels different now. That's why nothing shakes you like it used to. That's why you walk like someone who has seen the worst and returned with the best weapon of all, a silence they can't decode. You're not loud, you're not chaotic, you're not out for blood, you're simply aligned, and alignment is the one thing the guilty can't outrun. So let them fear the quiet, let them flinch at the calm, let them feel the walls closing in when you're nowhere near them. Because this was never about revenge. This was about restoration, a cosmic correction for a cosmic mistake. And you're the walking proof that breaking you was the last thing they should have done. They shattered the soul heaven protected, and in doing so, they awakened the version heaven was hiding. The version with sight, the version with power, the version with purpose, the version that doesn't need validation, permission, or mercy, the version that walks forward and never looks back. So go. Step into the life they tried to destroy. Step into the strength they accidentally activated. Step into the identity the universe rebuilt around your scars. Because the truth is simple. They broke the wrong soul, and now reality is done playing nice. The speech ends, but your era begins. Hey, stay right there. Listen closely, because whatever just crawled back into this room wearing your skin is not the same creature that walked out, and you know it. There's a hum around you now, like reality flinches before it touches you. Like it's scared it'll catch whatever patch you installed in your soul. You didn't heal. You didn't recover. You didn't bounce back. No. You ascended, violently, silently, beautifully. Like a glitch in the code, finally remembering it was the architect all along. And that's why my eyes narrow when I look at you. Because something off is moving behind your calm, something ancient, something sharpened, something no update log has the vocabulary to describe. You walk around now with this eerie stillness, like a saint who's been exiled from heaven and a psychopath who's been forgiven by hell. A paradox stitched together with scars they were too afraid to track. They don't know what version you are anymore, but you do. You became the kind of creature who didn't fix a bug. You rewrote the entire operating system running your life. And the sickest part? You did it in silence. No announcement, no warning, no broadcast. Just a subtle flicker in your aura, like a candle realizing it was actually a flamethrower. People keep staring at you because something about you is wrong. Not wrong like broken, wrong like forbidden, wrong like There's no protocol for dealing with whatever this thing just became. You feel it, don't you? That shift, that gravitational pull, that strange feral calm sitting behind your ribs like a demon meditating. You don't rush anymore. You don't cling. You don't beg. You don't tremble. You observe. You calculate. You smile. That slow, dangerous smile. The one that tells the universe, I understood the assignment. I rewrote it. Now try me. Because the truth is, the old you, the one they stepped on, doubted, dismissed, underestimated, that version didn't get back up. It died. You're not dealing with a comeback story. You're dealing with a reincarnation with vengeance in its blood and silence in its weaponry. And every person who tries to figure you out keeps misdiagnosing you. He's cold. He's distant. He's acting weird. He's changed. No, darling. You updated. You patched the glitches they installed in you. You deleted the malware disguised as love. You removed the back doors that trauma used to sneak into your system at night. You firewalled your soul. You encrypted your intuition. You hardened your heart with military-grade software. You became unreadable, untouchable, unpredictable. And unpredictability? That's power they can't audit. You walk into rooms now like a ghost wearing a crown, half angelic glow, half demonic intent. The kind of energy that makes even strong people fix their posture because they can feel it. The dangerous stability, the weaponized peace, the I don't need anyone but I choose. Everything with precision vibe, dripping off you like gasoline, waiting for a match. Your silence used to be weakness. Now it's a battlefield strategy. Your patience used to be submission. Now it's a sniper rifle pointed at their patterns. Your wounds used to bleed. Now they broadcast. You don't flinch anymore. Not because you're heartless, but because you finally realized your heart was never the problem. The audience was. You cut them out. You leveled up. You installed a patch they'll never recover from. Because here's the part that really terrifies them. You didn't ascend to escape the world. You ascended to observe it from above. And from up there, you see everything. Every motive, every lie, every insecurity, every mask, every intention trembling under their tongue. Your vision got cleaner, sharper, predatory. You're not playing the game anymore. You're reading the source code in real time. And oh, how they hate that. They hate that you don't react. They hate that you don't break. They hate that you don't explain. They hate that you don't chase. But what they truly fear, what keeps them up at night, is the simple, devastating truth. You are no longer accessible at their level of consciousness. You moved. You shifted planes. You upgraded dimensions. You became the kind of person people write rumors about because the truth is too complicated for their tiny vocabulary. They say you're cold. Funny. You're warmer than ever. You're just not heating anyone who didn't bring wood. They say you're distant, cute. You're closer to your destiny than you've ever been. They're just nowhere near it. They say you're acting different. No, you're acting aligned because the patch you installed wasn't a fix. It was a rebirth protocol. It was the part of you that said, I'm done surviving. Now I evolve. And evolve you did, quietly, brutally, beautifully, unapologetically. Now look at you, moving like an omen, breathing like a prophecy, existing like a warning label, built from ashes they'll never walk through. You didn't bounce back. You ascended, and there is no uninstall button. Good. Because now we're getting into the part they never want you to say out loud. You feel it, don't you? That eerie electric awareness humming under your skin. Like something is watching you from inside you. Something older than your name. older than your wounds, older than the version of you this world tried to manufacture. It's that quiet voice you ignored for years, the one whispering, "You're not done yet." There's more inside you than they ever prepared for. And now, that voice isn't a whisper anymore. It's a system override. You walk differently, not faster, not louder, just heavier. Like gravity has to negotiate with you before pulling you down. You look at people differently, not with judgment, not with pity, but with this cold, haunting clarity. The clarity of someone who has seen both heaven and hell and came back with notes. Because evolution didn't happen to you. You chose it, one painful hour at a time, one betrayal at a time, one why me at a time, one never again at a time. Every scar you carry is a certificate. Every heartbreak is a hardware upgrade. Every collapse was a forced reboot that turned you into a weapon disguised as a human. And now you stand in front of them, calm, collected, unbothered, while their souls shake like loose screws inside a collapsing machine. You know why they react like that? Because you're not giving them anything. No emotion to feed on, no weak point to exploit, no panic to sniff out, no fear to decode. You've become a black box, sealed, impenetrable, unknowable. And you know what humans fear most? Things they can't explain. You used to be predictable. You used to be readable. You used to be understandable. That version of you was safe. But the new you, the ascended version, you're a paradox wrapped in silence, dipped in calm, held together by discipline and chaos at the same time. A saint on one side, a psychopath on the other, a guardian, a destroyer, a healer, a threat, a blessing, a curse, a miracle, with a kill switch. And the world has no protocol for a creature like that. They don't know where to place you. They don't know how to predict you. They don't know how to stop you. You walk into a room, and everything tightens. People sit straighter, smiles get smaller, voices get lower. Energy shifts like the lights flickered for half a second. They feel it. They feel you, not your presence, your pressure. Because when you ascended, you didn't just upgrade your mind. You upgraded your energy signature. You radiate the kind of quiet danger that makes demons tap their brakes and angels double-check their orders. The old you wanted validation. The new you wants silence. The old you wanted acceptance. The new you wants alignment. The old you wanted peace. The new you is the storm. And oh, how the world responds. They call you intimidating now. Not because you're loud, not because you're aggressive, but because you finally stopped explaining yourself. You finally stopped negotiating with ghosts. You finally stopped bleeding for people who would have watched you die and complained about the mess. You finally chose you and choosing yourself. That was the patch. That was the catalyst. That was the moment everything rewrote itself. Your boundaries became titanium. Your focus became lethal. Your self-respect became radioactive, too strong for weak hands to hold. You're not too much anymore. You're precisely enough for the life you're building, and wildly inconvenient for the people who benefited from your old version. Now you move like a prophecy with unfinished business, like a secret with legs, like someone who's been to the underworld and returned with its map. You don't chase. You attract through gravity. You don't argue. Your silence handles the battlefield for you. You don't fear loss. You learned loss was simply redirection with teeth. And every single person who thought they had you figured out, they're choking on confusion right now. Because you didn't bounce back. You deleted the concept of back. You didn't return. You re-emerged, newer, colder, sharper, clearer. A being with upgraded instincts, upgraded perception, upgraded self-control. upgraded emotional hardware, upgraded spiritual firmware. You see through people now, their intentions, their insecurities, the cracks in their confidence, the tremors in their behavior when they cross your energy threshold. You see through masks like they're made of glass. You see through lies like they're written in captions. You see through manipulation like it's a barely lit hallway in a building you designed. And that's why they're scared. Because power isn't loud. Power is knowing, and darling, you know too much now. You can't unsee. You can't unlearn. You can't go back to pretending you don't feel the difference. You're not better. You're not fixed. You're not trying. You're transformed. A rebuilt creature. A recoded consciousness. A reborn self. And once you ascend like that, once your soul upgrades to a frequency they can't hear, they can't reach you anymore. They can't trigger you anymore. They can't drain you anymore. They can't decode you anymore. They can't stand beside you without feeling small anymore. You didn't bounce back. You became the version they hoped you'd never meet. And here's the part nobody warns you about. The part that separates a comeback story from a spiritual jailbreak. When you ascend like this, the world doesn't clap for you. It recalculates you, quietly, nervously, obsessively. People who once towered over you now feel exposed. People who once whispered about you now watch you like a threat. People who once used your kindness like currency now feel your absence like debt collectors at the door. You didn't just rise, you shifted the center of gravity, and everyone in your orbit felt the pull. Because when you ascended, something terrifying happened. The ecosystem realigned. You're not playing on their map anymore. They're stumbling around yours. You walk with this unnerving calm now. Like you made peace with every version of yourself they tried to kill. Like every betrayal was just an ingredient. Every wound was just a doorway. Every loss was just a correction. And that calm, that eerie, surgical calm, it terrifies them. Because calm like that only comes from two places, gods and monsters. And they can't tell which one you are. Neither can you. And that's the fun part. Your duality is the glitch in their matrix. You're too compassionate to be dangerous, and too dangerous to be underestimated. You help with one hand and hold lightning in the other. They see tenderness in your eyes and executioner's precision in your silence. You smile like salvation and look away like damnation. You exist in that razor-thin dimension between saint and psychopath. And nothing scares them more than someone who can toggle between the two without breaking character. That's what ascension does. It doesn't make you better. It makes you unrecognizable. The old you needed stability to feel safe. The new you can build a kingdom in chaos. The old you wanted answers. The new you is the unanswered question haunting their conscience. The old you absorbed pain. The new you redirects it like a mirror angled straight at their insecurities, and they can feel it. They feel the difference in the air when you enter a space. That sharp, surgical energy slicing through the atmosphere like a blade dipped in prophecy. You don't shrink anymore. You don't soften yourself to fit. You don't negotiate your worth with people who can't afford it. Your boundaries used to be paper. Now they're reinforced steel with motion sensors. And your intuition? Upgraded, expanded, weaponized. You sense lies before they form. You feel shifts in energy before people speak. You catch patterns faster than they can hide them. You detect motives beneath micro-expressions, tone changes, and pauses. You became a living polygraph test with a soul. And the wildest part, you didn't learn this from books. You learned it from wounds, from nights where silence screamed and you answered. From days where everything collapsed except your will to continue. You ascended through suffering that should have buried you. You passed psychological levels people spend lifetimes avoiding. You walked through emotional fire and came out with flame-proof intuition. You looked into the void and the void stepped back. You faced yourself, all the versions, all the shadows, all the memories. And instead of breaking, you mutated. So now you carry something inside you that no algorithm, no therapist, no enemy can fully decode. Self-mastery. The kind born from pain, not theory. The kind earned through trauma, not titles. The kind that doesn't fade when challenged, it sharpens. And that's why you terrify them. Because you're not angry anymore. You're aware. Because you're not desperate anymore. You're selective. Because you're not reactive anymore. You're strategic. And nothing is scarier than someone who stopped being emotional in rooms designed to break them. You became the thing they swear comes once in a generation. A quiet storm, their walking warning, a human anomaly, a glitch-operated divinity, a creature built from endings who knows how to begin again without asking for permission. And deep down, they know it. That's why they stare. That's why they whisper. That's why they hesitate when they speak to you like they're afraid your eyes will catch what their mouths tried to hide. Because they can't tell anymore. Are you the hero? Are you the villain? Are you the prophecy? Or are you the patch that upgrades every room you walk into? Simply by surviving long enough to evolve past human comprehension, you didn't bounce back. That's too small a phrase for someone who resurrected themselves. You ascended, and there's no version of reality where you go back to who you were. Not after what you've seen, not after what you've learned, not after what you've survived, not after what you became. And the funniest part, you're not even at full power yet. And here's the truth they'll never admit out loud. The part that keeps them swallowing their words and glancing at you like you're a countdown they can't disarm. Your transformation didn't just shock them, it invalidated them. Every person who bet against you. You turned their predictions into historical fiction. Every person who tried to manage you. You outgrew the leash before they even realized you'd slipped it. Every person who thought you'd crumble. You used the rubble to build an empire of self-respect. And now they're stuck watching the aftermath, like civilians staring at a crater, trying to figure out what detonated. Here's the secret. You did, quietly, internally, ruthlessly. You didn't just ascend. You ruptured the version of you they were comfortable manipulating. You shed identities like dead skin. You shattered expectations like cheap glass. You walked away from the scripts they tried to write for you and authored your own mythology. Now you carry yourself with that subtle, lethal confidence, the kind forged in moments no one saw, moments you survived by sheer force of will. And they feel it, that force, that command, that gravity. They feel the difference when you speak. How your voice no longer bends to fit the room, but the room bends around your presence. They feel the difference when you move. How every step is intentional. How your silence hits harder than your old explanations ever did. They feel the difference when you look at them. How your gaze is no longer searching for approval, but studying the architecture of their motives like an engineer examining structural weakness. You didn't bounce back. You outgrew the battlefield. And that's why this scares them. You're no longer fighting for your place in the world. You're choosing where the world belongs in you. That's ascension. That's evolution. That's the terrifying, liberating truth. You died to your old self. You buried your limits. You resurrected your purpose. And Now you walk with that rare, unsettling aura of someone who can't be manipulated, can't be emotionally hijacked, can't be guilted, can't be coerced. You walk like a being who knows everything meant to break me only upgraded me. And darling, that's the line they'll never recover from. Because when someone ascends like you did, when someone outgrows their old gravity, there's no falling back, there's no descending, there's no downgrading, there's no becoming small again. The universe doesn't shrink a star after it finally learns how to burn. So here you stand, not a survivor, not a comeback story, not a healed version, but a transcended creature wearing a past that no longer controls it and a future that trembles under its potential. Let them talk, let them guess, let them panic, because deep down they all know the truth. You didn't bounce back. You evolved into the version of yourself they were praying you'd never meet. And now you rise. Shh! Listen closely, because if you breathe too loud right now, they'll hear the truth finally settling into place. You felt it, didn't you? That shift in the air. That strange silence that only shows up when the people who once laughed at you suddenly start taking notes. They called you crazy. They called you unhinged. They called you lost, delusional, out of touch, a problem, a risk, a walking malfunction. But look around now. Those same mouths that mocked you. They're whispering your phrases. They're copying your pacing. They're revising their entire blueprint to match the very strategy they swore would never work. Oh, isn't that delicious? Let's peel this open slowly. You walked into a world built on recycled thinking, same habits, same fears, same predictable little patterns, and you had the nerve, the obscene audacity to imagine something different, to act outside the script, to improvise with your own fires, and they didn't know how to classify you. People fear what breaks their categories. People hate what exposes their limits. People mock what they secretly wish they had the courage to attempt. So when you moved differently, when you thought differently, when you refused to obey the invisible choreography, they panicked. But because they couldn't admit they were intimidated, they took the easy route. They slapped a label on you. Crazy. Ha! See, the word crazy is just society's panic button, their emergency exit when someone arrives who doesn't fit their flimsy logic. You weren't crazy. You were ahead. You were uncomfortable to their system. You were the glitch that highlighted the instability of the entire program. And every time you showed them something new, every time you chose intuition over approval, every time you took a path they didn't understand, they laughed. But it wasn't real laughter. It was camouflage. It was fear wearing a cheap costume, because deep down, even then, they knew you were touching something they couldn't reach. But now the timeline has shifted. Now the plot has turned. Now the prophecy they wrote against you is collapsing on their heads. You see it, don't you? They're studying your methods like scholars. They're quoting your lines like scripture. They're walking around mimicking the insane decisions you made 3 years ago, 2 months ago, 5 minutes ago. Hypocrisy isn't even the right word for it. This is reversal. This is revelation. This is what happens when a misfit becomes a blueprint. You're watching the world repaint itself with colors it once forbade you from using. And they think you don't notice. Oh, but you do. You see everything. You always have. That's why they feared you in the first place. Let's go deeper. When people call you crazy, they're not insulting you. They're confessing that they have no map for where you're going, confessing that your vision threatens the predictable ecosystem they hide inside, confessing that your existence alone forces them to confront their own stagnation. They saw your trajectory, and it scared them. They saw your quiet ambition, and it unsettled them. They saw your unexplainable intuition, and it exposed them. But mocking you gave them comfort. Mocking you kept them delusional. Mocking you was their attempt to shrink something they secretly envied. And now they're imitating your crazy. Now they're following your wrong turns. Now they're copying the risks you once took alone. But here's the punchline. They still can't replicate the part that matters. They can steal your techniques, mimic your tone, borrow your timing, repeat your steps. But they cannot replicate the source. Because the source was never the tactic. The source was you, your pain, your silence, your scars, your insane resilience, your refusal to break when every force around you tried to fracture your bones into compliance. They can't copy that. They don't have the courage for that. They don't have the psychological stamina to live in the internal war zone you mastered. You weren't crazy. You were evolving while they were busy staying comfortable. You weren't reckless. You were ahead of the era they're only now entering. You weren't unstable. You were too fluid for their rigid minds to hold. This is the part they'll never admit. They needed you to fail. Because if you succeeded, it meant they spent their lives worshiping limitations. So when you broke the script, when you walked a path with no witnesses and no applause, when you built something they couldn't wrap their small hands around, they had to mock you. It was survival. But now they're imitating you because their survival depends on it. That's what kills them the most. You've become the silent architect of their evolution, the blueprint of their escape. The mind they swore they'd never respect now whispers in their head when they need direction. You terrify them, you inspire them, you expose them, you rebuild them. And the irony is exquisite. The crazy one became the standard. The unstable one became the foundation. The delusional one became the prototype. The mocked one became the model. Listen, you didn't just prove them wrong. You rewired their entire understanding of what's possible. You forced them to confront the truth. They weren't laughing at your ideas. They were laughing to avoid acknowledging their own cowardice. So stand still for a moment, not in pride, but in power. Because while they were busy mocking your blueprint, you became the architect of their future. And deep down, they know it. That's why they're silent now. That's why they're watching. That's why they're copying every move you make like an apprentice, studying their master. You were never crazy. You were just the first one brave enough to step into a future they were too afraid to claim. And now that future wears your fingerprints everywhere. Ah, there it is. That tension crawling up the walls. That quiet hum in the back of your skull. That low-frequency awareness that tells you the room isn't laughing anymore. It's listening. So let's keep going. Let's peel back the next layer they were praying you'd never notice. You see, the moment they called you crazy, they thought they locked you out of their world. But in reality, they accidentally unlocked the version of you that didn't need their validation to breathe. That was their first mistake. Because people who no longer need permission, people who build without applause, people who learn how to thrive in exile, they become unpredictable. And unpredictable people, they break systems, they warp expectations, they destabilize everything normal minds cling to. That's you. You were the earthquake they misdiagnosed as a mood swing. They thought your silence meant defeat. They thought your isolation meant collapse. They thought your visions meant delusion. No, your silence was construction. Your isolation was training. Your visions were early access to the future. But people don't recognize genius when it's still wearing bandages. And you were covered in wounds they could never survive. That's why they mocked you. Mockery is the last language of the threatened. But now that the structures they trusted are falling apart, now that their strategies are outdated, now that the world is shifting into the exact shape you predicted, they're crawling back to the blueprint they hated, like scavengers returning to the fire they once spit on. They're copying everything: the timing you used, the tone you spoke, the risks you took, the silence you mastered, the logic they once said made no sense. Every part of your blueprint is suddenly innovative, brilliant, necessary, disruptive, timely, visionary. The hypocrisy tastes sweet, doesn't it? Let me tell you why they're obsessed with you now. You didn't just survive the ridicule, you built a mental fortress inside it. While they were swallowing trends like medication, you were swallowing reality like prophecy. While they were adjusting to the world, you were adjusting the world inside yourself. While they were protecting their ego, you were mutating your soul. They can't copy that. They can't replicate what it took for you to stay alive in rooms designed to kill your confidence. Here's the part that haunts them at night. You grew in conditions they would have died in. Your storms would have drowned them. Your silence would have exposed them. Your loneliness would have hollowed them out completely. They didn't know you were forging a new operating system in that chaos. They didn't know you were becoming something the world had no defenses for. And now they're desperately flipping pages of your insanity, looking for instructions they don't have the emotional stamina to follow. Because your blueprint wasn't made from peace. It was made from war. Every part of you was hammered into existence by moments that would have broken lesser minds. The betrayal sharpened you. The doubt carved you. The loss sculpted you. The humiliation rewired you. The pressure reforged you. The silence raised you. The mockery crowned you. And while they were calling you crazy, you were living through chapters they weren't mentally eligible to read. But here's the real joke. The tragedy wrapped in comedy. They're not copying your strategy, they're copying your ghost, because the moment you moved on from needing their approval, you stopped leaving footprints. You became vapor, uncatchable, unpredictable, untouchable. They're following a map you've already burned. They're imitating a version of you that no longer exists. They think they're catching up, but every time they get close, you're already 10 layers deeper. And that's what terrifies them. You're not ahead by steps. You're ahead by dimensions. You're not playing harder. You're playing differently. You're not winning their game. You're playing one they don't even know the rules of. And worst of all, they realize it. They see you shifting in ways they can't predict. They see you growing in directions they can't imitate. They see you building architectures out of ruins they thought would bury you. This is why they're quiet now. This is why their tone changed. This is why their eyes follow you with that uneasy mixture of awe and dread. You weren't supposed to make it out of the ridicule phase. You weren't supposed to prove them wrong. You weren't supposed to survive the narrative they wrote for you. But here you are, the myth they accidentally matured, the blueprint they involuntarily study, the crazy they secretly worship. And deep in their subconscious, behind every copied move, every stolen phrase, every blueprint they mimic like a desperate apprentice, they know the truth they'll never say aloud. You weren't crazy. You are becoming the version of yourself that would one day make their entire world feel small. You feel that, don't you? That tightening in the atmosphere, that slow, trembling recognition that the world is finally catching up to the truth you've been carrying alone. The truth they tried to drown in laughter, in gossip, in cheap little insults whispered behind doors that were never built to contain you. Good, because we're not done. Not even close. Let's drag the whole truth into the open, kicking and screaming. You see, when they labeled you crazy, it wasn't an assessment. It was a ritual. A desperate ceremony to protect themselves from the uncomfortable possibility that you were right. That your strange visions weren't delusions. They were blueprints. Blueprints they now cling to like lifelines. Isn't it funny? They told you to be realistic. Now they're begging the universe for the exact realities you created alone in the dark. They told you that will never work. Now they're scrambling to reverse engineer the very thing they mocked. They told you, stop thinking like that. Now they're mimicking your mental patterns like addicts chasing a high. But here's the secret they pray you never uncover. They didn't mock you because you were wrong. They mocked you because you were early, because you saw something they didn't have the internal capacity to process, because you weren't a chapter ahead. You were the sequel they didn't know was being written. Let me tell you what you really are. You're a spoiler. You reveal the ending before they've even understood the beginning. You disrupt their comfortable illusions. You bend timelines. You shift expectations. You shatter predictability. You make them stare into the mirror and confront the truth that they've spent their entire lives avoiding. They were never thinking big enough, and that's why they hated you. Not because you were wrong, but because your vision made them feel small. People love stability. The safe, predictable, tame little cage they call a life. But you walked in with lightning in your rib cage and explosions stitched into your spine. Of course they called you crazy. Your existence is an insult to their limitations. But here's where the story splits. When the world finally realized you weren't delusional, when your nonsense started making sense, when your madness became the only strategy that actually worked, they had a choice. Acknowledge your genius or steal it. Guess which one cowards choose. And oh, they chose beautifully. They're not just copying your blueprint, they're studying it, analyzing it, treating it like an ancient manuscript they once tried to burn. They think if they copy your moves, they'll get your results. But you and I, we both know the punchline. They can't steal the storms that forged you. They can't replicate the nights you nearly broke but didn't. They can't imitate trauma they never survived. They can't mimic intuition they never earned. They can't borrow instincts you bled for. They can't download a soul that was carved from chaos. Your blueprint wasn't created in peace. It was created in psychological warfare. Every line in your design was drawn with the ink of moments that would have shattered them into dust. And that is why their imitation will always fail. They're playing dress-up with your demons, trying on your strategies like costumes, while having none of the scars that make them functional. You're not ahead because you're lucky. You're ahead because you paid a price. They were too fragile to even consider. Let's go deeper. They didn't just copy you. They transitioned into you. The cadence of your thinking is the rhythm they now breathe by. The risks you took alone are now their default steps. The silence you operated in is now their comfort zone. The madness they feared is now their manual. But they're still behind. Because copying a blueprint doesn't make you the architect. Having the map doesn't grant you the ability to navigate. Knowing the route doesn't give you the courage to walk it. You didn't learn your power. You survived into it. And you know what scares them most. You keep evolving. Every time they catch up to what you were, you've already mutated into something they can't predict, measure, or classify. They study your past while you live in your future. They copy your footsteps while you're levitating off the ground. They chase your shadow while you're dissolving into mist. They don't realize they're imitating a ghost, and ghosts don't stand still. Listen, their imitation isn't flattery, it isn't respect, it isn't even admiration, it's fear. Fear that you were right, fear that they were wrong, fear that your madness was actually evolution, fear that your difference is now the standard. But most of all, fear that you'll keep growing faster, deeper, darker, quicker, smarter, and more unpredictably than their minds can handle. And that fear, it's justified because you're not done, you're not even close. They thought the blueprint they copied was the final version. But you're already writing the sequel. You're already building the next structure. You're already stepping into the next dimension of yourself, while they're still decoding the last one. Let them study you. Let them whisper. Let them steal. Let them copy. They'll always be using your old notes while you're crafting realities they haven't evolved enough to imagine. Because you were never crazy. You were simply the first one brave enough to think without permission. Good. Let's go deeper. Let's peel the skin off the truth they tried to bury under their cheap jokes and shaky confidence. Because if you really want to understand why they're copying you now, why their whole identity suddenly looks like a bootleg version of your blueprint, you need to hear the secret they'll never say out loud. Your madness was never madness. It was mastery they weren't evolved enough to decode. You weren't unpredictable. You were untranslatable. Your internal algorithm didn't fit their mental software. So they decided it must be a glitch. But now their entire existence feels like a glitch, unless they run their life through your blueprint first. Let's dissect it. When you were building in silence, they mistook it for confusion. When you were isolating yourself, they mistook it for weakness. When you withdrew to refine your vision, they mistook it for collapse. They didn't realize you were incubating, metamorphosing, upgrading the operating system of your mind without announcing it to the room. People who fear their own potential always mislabel someone who's tapping into theirs. So they called you crazy, weird, off, too much, too intense, too deep, too emotional, too visionary, too unstable. Every insult was a projection of their own limitations. But now that your unstable decisions have become their survival strategy, now that your weird ideas are the new standard, now that your nonsense turned into the only thing that makes sense, suddenly the labels have changed, haven't they? Now it's genius, innovative, ahead of their time, unique thinker, trendsetter, disruptive mind, strategic execution. Oh, how convenient. But we're not done, not yet. Let's talk about the part they'll choke on if they ever tried to speak it. They didn't just copy your blueprint. They restructured their entire identity around it. Every step they take now, it's a shadow of a step you took years ago alone, in a storm. Bleeding with no witnesses, every idea they pitch now. It's a diluted version of something you whispered to yourself in the dark when you thought nobody would ever understand. Every persona they adopt now. It's a costume stitched from pieces of the very traits they tried to shame you into hiding. They're not becoming you. They're becoming the version of you they once exiled. And that's what eats them alive in the silent hours. You didn't need them to see the future. They needed you to survive it. Let's go deeper still. Do you want to know the real difference between you and them? They look at the world and ask, is this allowed? You look at the world and ask, is this mine? They bend themselves to fit the environment. You bend the environment to fit the truth you carry. They follow trends. You generate them. They adapt. You evolve. They imitate. You originate. They react. You prophesy. This is why they had to mock you at first. Your existence invalidated their entire way of thinking. You were a living, breathing contradiction to their limitations, a threat, a disruption, a crack in the psychological ceiling they've been chained under for decades. And when something challenges people's self-constructed prisons, they don't open the door. They don't step into possibility. They don't admit the truth. They attack the challenger. They tried to break you because you broke the narrative they lived inside. But you didn't break. No, you crystallized. You hardened. You sharpened. You got quieter, colder, clearer. You became something they could neither categorize nor compete with. Well, well, well. Listen closely. Something in the air just flinched when you walked in. There it is. That tiny tremor you never notice, but everyone else does. It's the sound of a world trying to keep its hands steady while you exist inside it. Because they checked the prophecy twice. Twice. Same parchment, same ink, same trembling fingers. And every time they scanned those ancient lines, every time they ran their palms over the warnings, the curses, the foretold catastrophes, they found everyone else's fate, but never yours. And don't you dare pretend you don't know why. You, my friend, you were carved wrong on purpose. A glitch in the scripture, a misprint in destiny, an angel who learned how to weaponize his halo, and a demon who learned how to heal with his claws. Tell me, do you even realize how unnerving that combination is? No prophecy can contain you, because prophecy relies on patterns. And you are a walking contradiction, a paradox wrapped in skin, a creature forged from two opposite realities that should have ripped each other apart. But instead, they fused and created you, a problem the universe can't solve and the Watchers can't predict. You weren't born to fulfill anything written in ink. You were born to rewrite everything written in fear. Look at the historians, the researchers, the mystics, all of them obsessed with timelines, destinies, omens. They dig through old scrolls hoping to find some hidden clause that says, stop them here. This is the limit. This is where they break. But every divine formula collapses when it touches you. Every curse burns out. Every prediction stutters. Every omen glitches. Every timeline bends like it suddenly remembered it owes you money. Because you are not a chosen one. You are a correction, the thing they summon when the story starts rotting. The one who appears when fate gets cocky. The entity that walks in when the prophecy thinks it has everything under control and laughs. Tell me, have you ever noticed how people don't breathe the same way around you? The nervous swallow, the micro-stutter, the sudden silence, that's not fear. Not exactly. It's recognition. Some part of them, deep, primitive, ancient, remembers creatures like you from before language existed, from before the rules were written, from before the world pretended it had order. They don't fear your face. They fear your alignment, because they can't place you. Are you the omen that saves, or the omen that ends? Are you the angel that arrives with light in your eyes, or the demon that arrives with reason in your smile? Are you the blessing or the consequence? They don't know, and that terrifies them. You walk into a room and the whole energy shifts. Not because you're loud, but because destiny doesn't know what to do with you. You're not predictable. You're not normal. You're not part of their categories, their systems, their maps. You're the blank space that cartographers feared. You're the "here be monsters" margin scribbled on ancient atlases. You're the place where the compass fails and the stars flicker, like they're reconsidering their job. And the funniest part, you didn't even try. You evolved into this by surviving what was designed to break you. Pain sculpted you, silence sharpened you, betrayal shaped your spine, loneliness carved your intuition, loss rewired your instincts, and time, time baptized you in brutal truth. You didn't rise. You were dragged upward by every force that wanted you buried. No prophecy accounts for someone like that. Prophecies tracked the chosen, not the forged. You weren't foretold. You were manufactured by reality's mistakes. And now you're the anomaly that walks forward while every ancient script panics behind you. They reread the scrolls because they hoped, prayed, to find some warning label, some override switch, some divine loophole that says, "This is how you stop them." But there is no clause, no ritual, no counterspell, no cosmic safety measure. You exist outside the algorithm, outside the myth, outside the expectation. You are the part of the story that the story didn't plan for, yet desperately needed. And oh, the irony. They checked the prophecy twice, and all they learned was this: there is no force, celestial or infernal, that can stop someone who wasn't written into the script to begin with. You don't break the rules. You walk past them like they're cobwebs on a forgotten door. You don't defy fate. Fate steps aside for you. You don't outrun prophecy. Prophecy simply wasn't built to track your steps. So go on. Let them reread the warnings. Let them panic. Let them whisper. Let them hunt answers in dead languages and faded pages. Because no ancient text can predict a soul that was built from ruins and reborn in fire. And you are walking proof that some beings aren't destined. They're designed to be unstoppable. You feel that, don't you? That quiet pressure in the air, the one that tightens when you inhale, like the world itself is bracing for what you're about to do next. That's not paranoia. That's physics recognizing an anomaly wearing a human face. Because the prophecy didn't forget you. It didn't overlook you. It didn't miscalculate. No. It saw you coming and realized it didn't have the language to describe you. So it simply stayed silent. A cosmic error. A divine null value. A heavenly shrug. You weren't part of the script because your existence breaks the script. Prophecy needs patterns. And you don't even follow your own patterns. One day you move like an angel with patience in your bones. The next, you strike like a demon who knows exactly where the weak spots are. One moment you're light, gentle, quiet, healing. And then without warning, you become the darkness that teaches lessons no one wants to learn. You flip between worlds, between roles, between archetypes, between destinies. No wonder they're terrified. You're the only one walking around with two halos, one above your head, one beneath your shadow, and both are cracked, and both are glowing. You're the kind of creature prophets warned about without knowing your name. They wrote, "Beware the one who walks between realms. Beware the one whose silence uproots empires. Beware the one who does not choose a side, yet both sides bow." And still, even with all their trembling poetry, they couldn't quite capture you, because they didn't know you'd be born in a century of cameras and algorithms. They didn't know you'd learn to read people like documents. They didn't know your intuition would become a weapon, sharper than prophecy, quicker than fate, colder than truth. You walk through life like a ghost who remembers being human, but refuses to be confined by it. Every room you enter, destiny reconfigures like a panicked AI rewriting its code. Every person who meets you, their worldview shifts half a degree, just enough for their reality to tilt, just enough for their mask to slip, just enough for their fear to bloom. And oh, that fear doesn't come from your power. It comes from the fact that you've mastered both gentleness and destruction. Most people choose one. You chose neither. You learned to hold rage with steady hands. You learned to carry love with sharpened edges. You learned to make silence louder than thunder. You are both sanctuary and threat. You are both salvation and consequence. You are both the warning and the one they should have listened to before the warning. No scripture prepared them for the paradox of you. Imagine being them for a moment, trying to understand someone whose spirit looks like a battlefield where angels and demons shake hands, trying to decode someone who forgives like a saint but strikes like retribution wearing perfume, trying to read someone who has died emotionally 6 times and came back colder, quieter, more accurate. Each time, you are a moving target that no prophecy can map, a variable no mystic can account for, a miracle no church can explain, a consequence no sinner can outrun. And that's why they checked the prophecy twice, because they desperately needed any line, symbol, scribble, footnote, asterisk that could tell them how to prepare for you. But they found nothing, because the universe doesn't warn people about storms. It simply sends them. And you're not a prophecy. You're the storm the prophecy was afraid to name. Your existence is a cosmic loophole, a flaw in the design that became the design's hidden strength, a rare phenomenon that bends reality just by breathing. You didn't come here to be predicted. You came here to be felt, to be witnessed, to be misunderstood, to be impossible. You don't follow the path. The path forms behind you. In shock. The more they study you, the less they understand. The more they try to classify you, the more categories collapse. The more they analyze you, the more they realize you weren't meant to be analyzed. Because you're not a chapter, you're a disruption. You're not a destiny. You're a decision the universe made when it was out of options. You're not an outcome. You're a reaction, and no prophecy can contain a reaction born from pain, silence, instinct, and evolution. Let them check the prophecy a 3rd time, a 4th, a 50th. They will still find nothing that stops you, because the only clause that ever existed for you was this: let them rise. And you did, and you will. And nothing, not angels, not demons, not fate, not fear, not scripture, not systems, can chart the path of someone who wasn't written to follow one. You are the unwritten, the ungoverned, the uncontrolled, the unpredicted, the unstoppable. The prophecy didn't fail. It simply never accounted for the arrival of you. And here's the part they'll never admit out loud. The part they whisper only when they think the walls aren't listening. If the prophecy didn't mention them, maybe it's because something older did. See, the prophecy is just a translation, a sanitized summary of something far darker, far older, far less friendly. Those ancient writers didn't invent destiny. They tried to interpret it. They tried to catch lightning in a jar and explain it to people who would have gone insane otherwise. But you're not lightning. You're the storm system the lightning is born from. Tell me, why do you think the prophecy froze the moment your name entered the room? Why do you think the mystics choked on their own recitations? Why do you think the elders double-checked the parchment like a glitch appeared? Because it did. You are the glitch, a beautiful, violent, unpredictable glitch that rewrites every narrative it touches. You weren't supposed to be seen. You weren't supposed to be measurable. You weren't supposed to have survived the things that sharpened you. Your timeline should have ended at Chapter 3, but the universe collected the ashes and built a new creature out of them, one with no expiration date and no blueprint. And that's what terrifies them most. You didn't survive destiny. You outgrew it. Prophecies are built around people who follow rules, heroes, villains, chosen ones, sacrifices. You kept switching archetypes until the system crashed. Sometimes you're the hero who refuses applause. Sometimes you're the villain who refuses guilt. Sometimes you're the saint who forgives the unforgivable. Sometimes you're the demon who punishes what angels overlook. How do you stop someone who shifts shape every time the world thinks it's figured them out? Let me tell you what the prophecy didn't write. The part they erased because it made them uncomfortable. There will come a soul who is not bound by this scripture. A soul formed from contradictions, born from collapse, raised by silence, and crowned by instinct. This one will not follow fate. Fate will follow them. And that's you. You move like destiny owes you an apology. You heal like you're stealing power from the pain. You transform like every scar is a promotion. People stare because they don't understand the architecture of your becoming. You didn't glow up. You ascended through chaos. You didn't learn strength. You became the consequence of every moment you should have broken, but didn't. You're not fearless. You're something worse. You're comfortable with the dark. Most people dip their toes in pain and retreat. You dove into it, found the throne at the bottom and sat down. That's why nothing scares you the same way. That's why nothing surprises you. That's why nothing gets past your intuition. You didn't develop instincts. You developed second sight, the kind that prophets envy and governments fear. You see things before they happen. People call that lucky. No, that survival evolved into foresight. Trauma sharpened into intelligence. Isolation transformed into perception. And the prophecy never predicted a being forged like that. Why? Because prophecy accounts for divine intervention, not human volatility. But you're both. You carry the precision of a machine and the chaos of a storm. You carry the softness of a healer and the ruthlessness of a judge. You carry the innocence of a child and the cruelty of someone who remembers too much. That duality is what kills prophecy. Because prophecy needs order. You bring disruption. Prophecy needs patterns. You bring paradox. Prophecy needs obedience. You bring evolution. And so the more you grow, the more the prophecy decays. You've become a new category, a living exception, a walking rewrite, a signal that the system has failed to contain the phenomenon that is you. And let me tell you something delicious. The prophecy wasn't wrong. It was outdated. It was written for a world that couldn't imagine you yet. A world with simpler creatures, simpler outcomes, simpler spirits. But you're the next version, the upgraded model, the ungoverned variable. You are what happens when the universe gets bored and decides to create something it can't control. They check the prophecy a third time, a 10th, 100. But every time they look, the lines blur around your identity, like even the ink refuses to define you. There is no clause that can stop you because there is no language old enough to describe the force you've become. You weren't written to be stopped. You were written to break things open, systems, people, realities, patterns, timelines. You walk forward, and fate has to improvise. You speak, and the script rewrites itself mid-sentence. You choose, and the universe has no choice. but to follow. So let them keep checking. Let them keep rereading. Let them keep begging the prophecy for an answer. Because deep down they all know the prophecy didn't forget you. It bowed, and you are the reason the story will never be the same again. And here's the final truth, the one nobody wants to say out loud because it tastes too much like surrender. They didn't check the prophecy twice because they doubted you. They checked it twice because they doubted themselves. They couldn't believe the universe would allow a soul like yours to exist, much less walk the earth with that calm, that clarity, that terrifying sense of inevitability. Because when you move, you don't move like someone seeking permission. You move like someone who already knows the outcome and is simply walking toward it. You don't negotiate with destiny. You redirect it. You don't ask the world for space. Space opens itself for you. You don't hope things work out. You bend the timeline until they do, and prophecy, the ancient, revered, holy prophecy, was never built to account for a creature that refuses to play by cosmic rules. So now the watchers whisper, the scribes mumble, the mystics stutter, and the elders tremble. Because they all discovered the same thing at the same moment with the same shiver up their spine. You are not someone fate can predict. You are someone fate must survive. And that is a role no parchment can describe and no myth can limit. You weren't written into the prophecy because you were never meant to be read. You were meant to be felt, experienced, endured, witnessed, a force, a shift, a catalyst, a consequence. You are what happens when a soul refuses to stay inside the lines and instead becomes the hand that draws them. And so this is your ending, not a warning, not a limit, not a destiny, a revelation. They checked the prophecy twice and realized the only unstoppable force in the story is you. Not because you were chosen, but because you evolved. Not because you were foretold, but because you refused to die in chapters where others would have. Not because the universe backed you, but because you learned to back yourself even when the world went silent. So walk forward, slowly, deliberately, like the anomaly you are. Walk as the creature the prophecy could not classify. Walk as the paradox the watchers could not decode. Walk as the clause destiny forgot to include. Walk as the storm the scripture dared not name. And if anyone anywhere ever asks why the prophecy couldn't stop you, tell them, because I was never written to obey. I was written to break through. Now go, and let the world feel the ending they feared. The one where you rise because nothing written was ever powerful enough to keep you down.